Thanks for attending. I would love to have the Republicans that were invited be here, but unfortunately they're not. Yeah. I promise to make this less than 2 minutes. I'm also going to try to record this, so bear with me. My name is Justin Scott. I am the founder and director of the Eastern Iowa Atheists. I am here to represent one of the fastest growing groups in the country, non-believers. But I'm also a parent. And I am gravely concerned with this idea of school vouchers. I want to thank all the educators here that have probably been talking about this for weeks. There's a fancy term for it called school choice, and it's designed to mask how destructive these vouchers can be. For those of you that don't know, school vouchers dismantle public education through siphoning taxpayer money away from public schools. They show little to no measurable increases in performance by students. They circumvent the separation of religion and government, something I'm very concerned with, by routing taxpayer dollars to religious instruction. And also they provide very little to no oversight, especially with homeschooling, as we saw the tragic case down in Des Moines. So my question tonight is, do you support school vouchers? Why or why not? If you don't, what will you do to either try to push against them or prepare public education in Iowa to get ready for the blowback from it when it comes here? And then lastly, if you do support school vouchers, would you support taxpayer money going to a satanic private school? Thank you.
I have a question of you. Are you recording yourself or us up here?
Both.
Oh, okay.
All the above.
Well, I can just tell you I don't support school vouchers. I do think that they would be detrimental to public ed. I went private school. I went to Catholic school, Sacred Heart in Waterloo and Columbus High. And my folks made a choice in that issue to send me to Catholic school, and I'm grateful for the education that I got. But I do get a sense that I wish Representative Rogers would have been here tonight because he's chair of that education committee that will be dealing with this issue. But I think the overall process, if you go to Detroit, for example, they have focused on school vouchers. And what they've seen is that the suburban areas with more cash and more property value, but the urban areas inside with low incomes are really struggling. They're having a hard time trying to get the students educated. So that's where I'm at.
So I can tell you on the House side, being on the Education Committee, it is a topic. And, you know, I have worked with Representative Rogers and kind of discussed things with him, because I did do a listening post this summer with my Catholic schools. Those are the schools that are in my district, just to hear their viewpoints and shared those with Representative Rogers. And right now, what we have is you know, the percentage of our children are public school kids, and we have to take care of this, and we haven't for the last 6 years. And so we're already cutting money to the most vulnerable people in Iowa, and we haven't taken care of our kids, and so I just don't know where they get the money. I mean, ideally, I think every Iowa child, when they're born, should have we should set them up with a savings account. That'd be great. They could use it for college, they could use it for community college, they could use it for skills, but the bottom line is we just don't have that money. We don't live in that idealistic world. And the poor choice argument I hate, because my son went to Catholic school. He did online courses. He went to rural school and he went to public. So we have that choice. That already exists. What we're really talking about is money for the charter schools and private schools. And at this point in the budget, unless we start growing $100 trees that put off leaves with $100 bills, I don't know where we would get that money. And if we can't offer it to all the children in Iowa, then I don't think we can offer it.
Thank you, Justin, for the question and for your passion. It is an American value to both believe and not believe. and so you're brave to come here tonight and speak for the things you care about. I do not support the current proposal on vouchers, and there are a lot of forms of them. We actually have voucher in school choice in Iowa. It's called open enrollment. And you may not know it, but when your child open enrolls, half of the per pupil funding follows them through the non-categorical formula, and then half stays with the existing school district. All of the per pupil, but then the categorical money stays with the school district where they left. So we have had a fair way to provide school choice. If you think that's not working, then let's offer some solutions around that, because here is the essence of the current argument. Our friends in the Republican Party believe in order for them to be successful on public education, they have to pit one form of education against the other. That's the proposal. It's zero sum. It takes from the public school resources that we cannot fund appropriately today. This morning, the Republicans in the House and Senate said the best they can do for K-12 schools in the upcoming year is 1.1%. So why would you want to take scarce resources from public education and pit them against non-public and other schools? That is not the Iowa way. And we actually have a generous non-public school investment in Iowa. We do. We fund a lot of programs outside of the public schools that go to non-public programs. So we're not absolutists on this either. I think what we have done in Iowa is we found a way to balance those needs. Here's why investment in public education is very important. It is the great equalizer. It is the way opportunity is opened up for everybody. It's also the law, by the way. If you tinker around with the resources for public education and create disparities from one corner of the state to the next, you will go to court and lose. It's happened in the past. We don't need to do that to ourselves. We need to invest broadly across education, but it has to begin with public education.
I can't really add much to Senator Danielson's answer. He was right on that. But I do know, in reading my history, that our country was really founded on public education. The right of every citizen to have an education to elevate themselves. And I talked about how important education is. And to have an education system that gives you a total broad-based approach to it. And I also attended Catholic school before I moved to Iowa in the third grade up in Minnesota, in Minneapolis when I lived there. And been here in Iowa since 1958. So I consider myself an Iowan. But I got to tell you, this battle is really about pulling money away from public education and giving it to some place that you cannot assure that you're getting a well-rounded education that's based in science and fact. And I'm very worried about it. So I'm clearly in no when it comes to that. Thank you.
Thank you.